I made $13,491 on a single trade using a simple SMC strategy, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I did it step by step so that you can take this and copy it and use it for yourself. So if you're new here, my name is Justin Bennett, Forex trader since 2007, full-time trader since 2011. As always, all of this is my opinion only and not financial advice. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through a trade that I took, in fact, just last week on the US dollar versus the Canadian dollar. And this is a little bit different than my typical trade because usually when I'm using SMC, I'm looking for a very strong trend to trade with that trend. However, in this case here, you can see that with this chart here on the 4-hour time frame, this was more of a range here for the dollar CAD. So this right here, you can see that we still have higher highs and higher lows, but for the most part, we were mostly sideways. So that's an important distinction here. And this tool that you see, these lines up here, okay, so this is just a parallel channel, guys. I get asked this all the time in my videos. I use this tool all the time because what you'll notice is that a market will revolve around a mean or average price. And that's exactly what we're getting here from this pair. So these are my settings in here for, again, this is just a parallel channel in TradingView. If you go into your sidebar, there is a parallel channel tool there. If you set it up like this here with these settings, then you will get something similar to what I have here. So again, just a simple parallel channel. I don't use this to blindly buy or short at these levels, and I'll show you why I don't do that here in this example. But when I see a market doing this right here, you can see lows down here. Okay, so highs up here in this area, then I know that where I'm looking to do business is right down here in this region. Okay, now what you'll notice here too is that, and a lot of times traders will say, well, channels are great, but by the time you spot them, they're no longer useful. And I completely disagree, because if you look back here, the moment that you have these two lows and then all these highs back here, you can start to draw this out. And so just last week when I took this trade, this is how the market looked. So the moment that I saw this here, I was looking to do business in this area. Furthermore, what you'll notice back here, we talk about imbalance mitigations all the time. And what you'll notice here is that on the 4-hour time frame, notice this right here. Okay, so notice this imbalance. This candle right here was a displacement candle. And even though we had the market pulling back here into about halfway through this candle, you can see that we did have this pocket right down here that is exactly what this pair mitigated down here at the bottom of this channel. Okay, so if we go out here, you can see that this right here, the market is mitigating what we saw right back here on that displacement candle. So this is exactly what I want to see. I want to see the market mitigating stuff like this, especially when we are range bound. Okay, now I do want to point out too, guys, this was called out in real time, as all my trades are in Discord. So I'm going to show you that here in Discord. And first I want to show you the idea. So this was something I posted in advance for VIP members to take note of. So this was the post here. So you can see it's time stamped up here as well. This was the idea that I posted. So this right here is pretty much what we just looked at. This was about the same time. And this was the areas, the buy side areas I was looking to target if I were able to get long. And then this right here was the area that I was eyeing, which we'll take a look at here in this video. And I'll show you exactly how I came up with this area to get long on this pair. Okay, I even posted out what I was targeting here, which was this area up here. And that was also hit for a full take profit. Now, if you do want to gain access to Discord, right here on the screen, there's going to be a link to a free SMC strategy that is going to give you a full course, nearly 2 hours of content that you won't find on YouTube. And then beyond that link, once you opt into the free course, you will have a chance to join us in Discord. If you don't see the link here on the screen, then check out the pinned comment below or in the description. So dollar CAD, guys, on the 4-hour time frame, we know the market is down here at the bottom of this channel. We know we're looking to do business in this area. We also know that this imbalance back here has been mitigated. Okay, everything is very straightforward so far. Now, one thing that we could also take note of here is that on this move lower, notice the imbalances up here. And this is where traders miss out on opportunities, because if you'll notice back here, right, we talk about imbalance mitigation all the time. This down here, this imbalance pulled the market lower, and we got that imbalance essentially filled down here on this wick. Now, imbalances like this up here, we can also use, okay, as potential targets. So if we know a market tends to mitigate these areas to give us that efficient auction that was lacking back here on this move lower, if we know that, then why not use these areas as targets as well? So in other words, we can not only use these to get into the market, but we can use these to also get out of the market for a profit. Okay, so with that in mind, I know I'm looking to do business down here. So all I do at this point, and this is what I do every single time, regardless of whether it's a strong trend or a ranging market, is I go to the 15-minute time frame. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just walk this lower. Okay, what I mean by walk this lower is all I'm doing is just taking lows like this here, moving this over and calling this an internal, okay, BOS, IBOS. Now, why is this internal? Well, let's take a look at this here. Okay, going back to the 4-hour time frame. So on this 4-hour chart, if this is our external range, which it is, then clearly we have these external highs and lows. Okay, so all of this here is external. Now internally, okay, all of this through here during this choppy price action, all of these little highs and lows, all of this is internal. Now, this also on the 50-minute time frame is internal as well, because looking at the 15, again, if you zoom out here, right, notice how insignificant this is right here, right? Internal low, internal high, internal low, internal high. So you get the idea here, right? This is our external low down here, external highs up here. Everything in between is all going to be just internal. Okay, so I like to differentiate those two when I'm labeling it just to keep everything straight. Okay, so let's go back in here now and walk this lower. And again, guys, walk this lower. All I'm doing here is once I have my breakout structure set, all I'm doing is dragging a level off of this high up here, because in real time, what I'm looking for is once we get the market doing this, okay, and breaking below lows like this to giving that breakup structure, all I'm doing is saying, okay, this is the high now that I'm watching, because if we were to get a close above here, then that would be a change of character. Now, in this case, what we can see is that as we move forward, and this market just kind of plays out here, we're just kind of going sideways here, and right there we break below. Now here I have another break of structure. Okay, so this now moves this level that buyers or sellers have to protect here down here toward this high. Okay, so this is now a protected high for this pair. In other words, if we were to see now at this point, now that we have this down here, if we were to see the market come up here and take out this high, then that would give us a change of character. So this is what I mean when I say that we're just walking this lower. Okay, we're just walking it down, just, you know, drawing our levels off these highs, and all we're doing is just waiting. We're just waiting for the market to show its hand. Now, right there, we do get the market closing above this. However, I want to show you something here on the 4-hour time frame. This is why this is really important, because right now you can see where we are. Okay, so what traders tend to do is they tend to assume, let's go back here toward this candle. So if we go back here toward this candle on the 4-hour, right, what traders tend to do is they try to front run stuff like this, and they get impatient, and they see the market tap into this area here, okay? And they say, okay, we're at the bottom of this channel, I'm gonna go in here and buy. Well, anybody buying this candle blindly on the 4-hour time frame, so this one right here with this long lower wick, thinking that this was the low, would have gotten stopped out, because as you can see, we did move lower after that. Look at this wick right here, right? We dropped down. So the key here with SMC trading, and the key with my system that I've developed, is that I drop to a lower time frame, like the 5-minute, like the 15-minute chart, to identify the structure shift internally, okay? Because that gives me the confidence that now that we have this close above, I know that there is a good chance, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, of course, but I know that there's a good chance that this is going to be the low, because we now have this right here, this internal flip here, this internal change of character telling me that this is potentially the bottom. Notice these 3 lines, guys. This is the bottom of that channel. Okay, so we're right there in that area of interest where I want to do business. We have the internal change of character now. Now, this next part is going to be really key for this pair, because what happens is a lot of times on a lot of pairs, a lot of markets, I will get in immediately on this, okay? Because if there's not a significant imbalance during this change of character, then I know there's a good chance we could just close up here, maybe pull back slightly, and then just take off, okay? And if you're not getting in up here, you could potentially miss out on the trade. However, 2 things here, okay? First of all, I know that this is mostly a sideways market, okay? So looking again at the 4-hour time frame, we know that this is not a strong trend right now. If you'll notice, even though we have technically higher highs and higher lows, this is more of a sideways market, okay? If you just look at this here, across these highs, across these lows, this is more sideways than really trending, okay? So I know that going into this on the 15-minute time frame, therefore I know that there is a good chance that we pull back following that internal change of character. If this were a strong trend, right? If this was a strong trend like this, then the odds of a pullback following that internal change of character are a little bit less, just because you have that bullish momentum. But in this case, with this sideways market and how choppy it's been, I know that there's a good chance that we do get that pullback on the 15-minute time frame following this change of character. Now, the second thing here, okay, because there were 2 reasons why I waited to buy this pullback. And the second thing is, if we take here from the low to the high and we draw out our fibs to find premium, discount, and OTE. OTE is optimal trade entry. I've made videos on that before, so be sure to check that out. Everything below the 50% here, this is going to be discount. This is where I want to buy. I cannot buy up here, okay? So that's the very first thing. I have to essentially buy below these lows. Now, what you'll notice here as well is that this displacement, okay, so let's look at this here. this displacement out of this low, you can see that this is an imbalance. Okay, a fair value gap down here that lines up exactly with OTE. And also, if you had noticed in Discord, this is exactly what I told members as well, right? This was the chart that I posted, and this was the OTE. This was the area I even said interested in long and against this. So I even told members ahead of time that this is exactly where I was looking to potentially long this market. Okay, so this is why in this case, I did not just blindly buy up here. I was waiting for this down here. I knew that we had this imbalance. I knew the market was mostly sideways. And I also knew that obviously getting in down here would give me a much better risk reward because I could long here, set my stop below the low, and then my risk reward would be a lot better than if I was longing up here. Okay, so let's go ahead and play this forward again, knowing that we have that internal change of character now. So this gives us that confidence that this low right here is potentially the low for this market. And again, you'll notice that this buy side imbalance up here, areas like this here, even this, okay, these act as potential targets or magnets for a market once you get this internal shift. Okay, so everything here was lining up. And also we had OTE down here within this imbalance. So I was looking for this to be mitigated in order to get long. Okay, so if we play this forward now and see what we get here from the dollar CAD. So here we can see the market test that high once again. You can see that we actually wick above it. It does not matter. I'm still looking for this area down here to be mitigated. You can see there we even close above it. Still does not matter. I'm looking for this area down here to be mitigated, which we get right there. Okay, so this right here, you can see that off of this high, this was OTE. Even if you draw it from this high up here, it doesn't matter. OTE is still going to be right here in this area, okay, which we had mitigated right here. So perfect mitigation of this imbalance back here. Again, we have this change of character. As long as we are above this low down here, this market has that internal shift, okay, that bullish shift that we are looking for to potentially target areas like this. Okay, so we know that we just mitigated that area down here. Again, we're in this pocket down here on the 4-hour time frame. So if I turn on now where I got into this market, now you'll notice that this was the level I got in right here at 135.44. And again, this is not hindsight stuff. This was called out in real time. If I go over here to my trades, you can see that this was the exact same entry. This is where the market was. It was at 135.46 or so. So literally 2 pips away from my entry when I posted this live in Discord, explaining exactly what I was doing here with members. Okay. And then if I scroll down, I even posted when I got out. I had 3 trades last week. All 3 trades were winners. In fact, I made roughly about $27,000 last week on those 3 trades. So this right here, guys, was the exit for this. You can see dollar CAD target hit, and this was that trade. So I posted that in you know, pretty much real time as well, a little bit after the fact, but I mean, didn't matter because the market just kept going, which, you know, in hindsight, I could have made more from this, but that's the way it goes. I'm happy with my trade, obviously making over 13 grand in a week. So looking at this here, guys, I mean, really simple at this point. My target here, right, was going to be this imbalance, or was this imbalance back here. You can see we had displacement lower. There was absolutely no retrace into here. So this area back here, you know, was a very obvious area to target for a mitigation of that imbalance. Okay, now in terms of a stop, this was also very straightforward. You can see that this low back here, if I just drag a level off of this low, you can see where I place my stop just slightly below this, okay? Because I knew like this right here was basically about 3 or 4 pips below that low. Because I give myself a little bit of a buffer usually, just in case we do come down here and tag this low again. But you can see how straightforward this was, right? It was a matter of, we had the internal shift, we had IBOS, we had that I change of character, the internal change of character back here. This down here was an imbalance OTE. This was my entry, stop loss below the low, okay? Very, very simple, because I knew that in this moment, right, my stop loss has to do 2 jobs. It has to protect my capital. It also has to get me out of this trade if it is invalidated. I knew that any move below this low would invalidate this idea. Okay, so all just very, very simple stuff. Now, in terms of a risk reward, let's talk about that for a second, because that's another key component here of my system. I have a 3R minimum. What that means is that my reward has to be at least 3 times my risk. And if we look at this here, you can see that this was a 5. Okay, so 5R, meaning that my reward was about 5 times my risk. So my risk on this trade was just shy of $3,000. Okay, so right around like 2,700 or so. That was my risk for the trade. And again, it was 5 times that, hence the $13,000 and change profit for this trade. Now, let's play this forward here too, because I want to talk through this as we go, because this is where traders will get you know, a little panicky as well when they are in a trade, because what you'll notice here is that a pair like the dollar CAD, first of all, can be pretty erratic at times. And what you'll notice here is that we had the market just kind of chopping around. Okay, so all of this through here, it would have been very easy to get spooked out of the trade, especially this, right? You see the market initially moving in your favor. All of a sudden you're at better than a 1-to-1, and then you see the market pull back aggressively. And this right here is where a lot of traders will panic and just get out of the trade. But for me, for the system I've developed, it's not necessarily a set and forget. However, I know that, again, as I said, this low down here, as long as we're above this low, then this idea is intact. And I have to give the market breathing room. I have to give this market room for this idea to play out. Because if I'm cutting the trade here on this pullback, then I'm essentially my own worst enemy because I'm not allowing this idea to fully play out. Okay, so again, just playing this forward here for this pair on the hourly time frame, you can see that the market moves up, and right there we hit our target. Now you can see too here that we did move quite a bit higher last week, and I could have made, honestly, $20,000 on this trade instead of 13, but that's the way it goes, guys. I mean, this was a 5R trade, meaning my reward was 5 times my risk. Very, very happy with that. And look, in hindsight, should I have maybe taken off half and trailed my stop up? Yeah, in hindsight, of course. But in real time, guys, we don't know if the market is just going to come up here and tag this imbalance back here and then just rotate lower again. Okay. And so you don't know that in the moment. And again, for me, a 5R trade, I'm going to take that every single time. Furthermore, this right here was on Friday. Okay. So this right here was on a Friday going into the weekend. With all the volatility we've seen recently, I wanted to get out of this, pay myself that 5R, pay myself that 13 grand so that I can start the next week fresh. Okay. So that is my strategy, guys, in a nutshell. Again, this was a little bit different just because we don't have that really strong trend. It was more of a sideways market. But you can see the principles are the same. Okay. They're the exact same. We have the area of interest back here. We have this imbalance that got mitigated through here. We also have the bottom of this channel. This is why I love channels. I have for over a decade. And you can see that we had the market come down here into this area. We then had, if we go to a 15-minute time frame, we had that internal shift right down here in this area. All we did was just walk the market down. Okay, all we did was walk it down. We had these breakup structures here. We then had the change of character. We had OTE sitting down here off the low from the high, OTE sitting right here in this imbalance. Okay, so this is exactly what I was looking for the market to mitigate, which we got. Stop loss below the low, target up there at those buy side imbalances. And the result was a 5R trade, meaning my reward was 5 times my risk. So keep it locked in here. Subscribe to the channel. If you want to gain access to that SMC strategy, then check out the link right here on the screen. That is completely free. I will walk you through exactly how I trade, almost 2 hours of content. Beyond that, you will have a chance to join us in Discord if you want my help with your trading Monday through Friday. Until next time, trade well. I will talk to you again tomorrow.